YouTube, how are you guys? Interesting topic today. I use the word interesting because um, really in my heart, this is the worst of all the topics. It's the worst one. Give me a second. So, everybody has heard of V2K. Everybody who's being gang stalked has heard of V2K. And for the majority of my gang stalking, I did not experience it. And now I finally experienced it, and I want to tell you, I think it is the worst of a lot of things that we do. For me, anyway, V2K is worse than V2K is worse than the other stuff that they do, even if it's physically exhausting stuff for me. Because even though I've dealt with a lot of physical attacks and things of that nature, V2K tries to emulate the voice of God in your life. That is a violation. That, for me, is where it went too far. It is where people take it too far. They take it too far. This is where they pass their place way too far. And I cannot speak on behalf of God, but I want to say that if I were to, I think she might agree. I think that might be very heartbreaking. What V2K does is it blocks the connection with God. It steps in between the connection with God, and then somebody else plays God in your head, and in your heart, and in your mind. And because of the love and respect that you probably have for God, you listen to this voice. And so they control you through pretending that they're God. I have gone through nightmarish experiences in my gang stalking journey, but nothing made me cry except V2K. Nothing moved me to tears to be upset except V2K. And I despise the person who did it more than everybody here combined. I think that this was going way too far. Way too far. It's one thing to attack someone. You know you don't like someone and you're attacking them, and that's one thing. But blocking a connection with God, blocking a spiritual connection, and then playing God in a person's life, I think this is just too much. So I'm going to talk about V2K. I'm going to start from the top. See things like this, I have to read them because these ones will get emotional very, very quickly. And anybody else who's gone through it and has an awareness of the truth of what it is, which I haven't encountered anybody who knows the truth of what it is. But if somebody went through it and knew the truth of what it is, and especially if you have a lot of love and respect for God, you feel the same way that I do. So let me read it. Tonight, I actually should call this the only known cure to gang stalking, because this is actually what this live is about. The only known cure to gang stalking. Gang stalking is spiritual death. Our Holy Mother is holy death, Santa Muerte. This is word enough. If gang stalking is spiritual death, it is the attempt to put someone to spiritual death, and you worship or pray or acknowledge holy death as God, then you would understand that this is a logical solution to a problem. It is just natural. You need death to fight death. Mother is the solution to this problem as I see it. I like to add things like as I see it because I don't know why I always do that. I always like water things down. She is the only solution to this problem. If there were another solution, someone would have already found it. There is no proof. There is no other solution to this at all. There is no other remedy to gang stalking than Santa Muerte. And that is the long and short of everything that we've gone through. That's the end of it. That is the end of it. There is no other solution to gang stalking than her. Even doing this journey with her has been challenging for me. It has been the most challenging experience of my entire life. She has to erect so many people along the way to help you, like a relay race, and a lot of them are destined to fall. It's almost like putting people up just so that you can get a message and they're going to immediately be knocked down because they helped you. They're going to be binded up, they're going to be taken in so that you can get to the finish line. And that's something that hasn't been lost on me for my personal journey, and that's why this entire time I've never ever had a thought of giving up. Like not once, not one thought. Never entertained it, never thought about it, not one time. Because a lot of people have suffered for me to get here. So it's very serious. It's very serious. And a lot of them, yeah, I already read that. A lot of them are destined to fall just so you can get to the finish line. People have taken a spiritual beatdown, assault. If this were physical, it would be bloody what they've gone through. Assault, spiritual assault, to give messages, wake up and give messages every day so that we can wake up and we can get to where we have to go. There is not a single person that she erects in place, including myself, that doesn't have to suffer to do their job. It's part of the job is that it's a job of suffering. We have to go through what we have to go through. And we inherently understand that we are going through all of this because there are other people suffering. So I can't speak for everybody. For me, it's not just suffering. It's not just a sacrifice. It is an honor. It is an honor to do what she needs me to do. Because when you love her truly and you love her a lot, there is nothing that you will not sacrifice. You are so eager to do anything that she needs on her behalf because of the way that she takes care of you and the way that she loves you. I always talk about this relationship as a loving relationship. This is not like the other deities. This is not like the other mini gods. This is not like any of that. This is not pay for play. This is not transactional. This is lifelong. This is permanent. This is built on unshakable loyalty. This doesn't need blood sacrifice, even though I think her true devotees would do it in a heartbeat without a thought. It doesn't need that because the loyalty and the love is so strong. Because the way she takes care of you, you feel like you're the only one she loves or she's ever loved. Truly a mother's love. She does so much for all of us. And as much as I feel like sometimes like I'm the only person that she loves, she just makes me feel that way. Even though I know it's not true, it's like heart over mind. Even though I know it's not true, as much as she makes me feel that way with the way that she loves me, I look at the way she loves other people and I want to call them God's favorite. So you're God's favorite, huh? Because the way she loves everybody individually is so complete. She makes you understand what complete love is about. Things people have never experienced. Complete love. A love that It can be a love between a mother and a child, and you have to compare it with like the first time you fell in love with the opposite sex. If you're into the opposite sex, if you're not, then same sex, whatever. But the first time you were in love, because you don't describe it as love, just love, but it's in love. The feeling of being in love, falling in love with a honeymoon phase and all of it, but in the most non-sexual way. That is the intensity of that love that not only she gives you, but it inspires you to give back. So people look at us and they call us crazy. They call us all these names because they're like, why are you suffering like this? And for you, it is an honor. It is an honor, and it makes you feel good that you can give something back. The love is so intense that you cannot just accept it without being able to give something back. So your suffering feels justifiable, like, okay, at least I'm contributing in some way for all the sacrifices that have been made. For myself and for other people that I know, there have been other people that have stood in place for years, suffering for years. The one person suffering for years to get people through. That is what universal love feels like. We suffer for people that we do not know. Because this thing here called gang stalking, this is crazy. Okay? The longer I stay here, the more new chapters open up, the crazier this is. You think the beginning when they're following you is the hardest part? You have no idea how crazy this thing is. This thing is like an untreatable spiritual affliction. This is the HIV and the cancer and the leprosy of like your spiritual body. This is an untreatable spiritual affliction because it is human sacrifice. And it is not always necessarily human sacrifice that you die. You will be a living sacrifice. Everything about you will be sacrificed and harvested. You will be food. You will be like cattle that they cut pieces off every day and eat. This is comprehensive, what I would call holistic, 360-degree, all around attack. Every possible spiritual outlet of attack is employed. They use everything. Every kind of spiritual attack that is known to man is employed in gang stalking because they need to make you feel hell on earth. And they will never stop. They can't stop because it is a human sacrifice. So the nature of it, just by the nature of it, they cannot stop. Give me a second. By the very nature of the sacrifice, of the ritual, they cannot stop. I call this the seesaw. Both parties are on it. The other party could be a coven, it could be one person, it's probably a group of people. Because they're tethered. They're tethered, that's how they work. And they're all sitting on the other side and you're on one side and they feel like it's enough manpower to take you down because it should be, it is. And they all have different spiritual abilities, and you know, you think that some of them specialize in some things and some don't. And you know, my assessment of that is like, I guess, I don't know, various degrees of strength, various degrees of expertise, various degrees of this, that, or the third, whatever, I don't know. They're on one side, you're on another side. It doesn't work if one person gets off, if one person falls off. The only way for it to work in their favor is if they, you know, get rid of you completely. If they cannot do anything else with you, they will just sacrifice you and get rid of you completely. They may not get the money out of it, they may not get all of the things that they want out of it, but at least they get off the ride. And I think that's their Hail Mary. When they just literally can't do anything, they'll just, you know, do a death spell, and then they'll just get rid of you, and then they get out of it. Otherwise, they get they get paid by persecuting you. They sacrifice you to an entity, and whether that means you convert to that entity and serve that entity, or whether that means that that entity gets to feed off of your light, they turn you dark, they turn you evil, they turn you hateful, they turn you away from God. I don't know if there's one day, I don't know if maybe the V2K thing is to one day show you that you've been praying to them all along. You've been talking to them all along, and there is no God. That's what they want to tell you. There's no God. You've been praying to us all along. And then maybe that turns you into like an atheist or whatever. It turns you horrible. It turns you cold. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Because let me tell you, when you feel a separation from a spirit, it's worse than a separation from any human that you know. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, I don't know, but like it's worse than a separation from any human being that you know. It's worse than the human person that you love the most in the world, because you always know that there's room for error with a human being, no matter how much you love them, no matter how much you think they never would. There's a room for error with a human being. There's no room for error with spirit in your mind. There should be. Hold on. There should be no room for error with human beings, with spirit. So spirit is quiet the entire time. Spirit doesn't speak to you in words. And you think, well, I can speak for myself. You think all of a sudden spirit's speaking. You're like, oh my God, that's so amazing, because like everybody else, all the readers and everybody else hears spirit's voice, and now I can finally hear, I can have a conversation. I don't have to wait for downloads and this and that and the third. And then you know, you find out, no, it wasn't spirit, and it's a horrible feeling. It is the worst feeling. Not because, for me personally, not because I think God is not real. No one can convince me of that at all. But I'm just thinking, why would they go so far? I don't know if it's just to mock people, but I know it's not just to mock people. This is also to make a person feel betrayed by God. Like, how could God sit back and allow this? As soon as I woke up from it, it's like God kind of held me back. Like, just every time I felt irritated, even to think something's pull you back. I gotta walk through it. I gotta see it. I gotta experience it. And ever increasing frustration. And I'm like, have to withhold myself by the time I said something. I don't know if I said it too early or too late, but I had to really like restrain from lashing out and just boiling inside, bubbling. And you know, it was in when I was giving my messages. These messages are different from my previous messages, because these messages are specifically about God, and not necessarily about gang stalking and gang stalking techniques, and just like exclusively about gang stalking. This is about God. This is spiritual messages now. And it's like every day my blood would boil, because there were specific things that happened that really pissed me off. And I knew, and I had to walk through with the situation. Because there was a higher purpose to me experiencing the B2K. Not just experiencing it to talk to people, but there was a higher purpose for it. And I understood why it happened. But I tell you, when you go through B2K, if you ever get to the point, maybe they might not want people. I know they don't want people. This is a lie they don't want to happen, but they can't do anything about it. They don't want people to know that V2K is really just a psychic attack. But if you went through V2K and then found out V2K was not real, it would really, really bother you. Because if you take your spiritual relationship and journey seriously, somebody intercepting between you and God is far too far. It's like the furthest. Like, they can't hurt me any worse than that. There's nothing, there's no more. That's it. That's the last straw for me. There's nothing that they could do that can compare to that, because I take God seriously. And I've seen them do it to other people, and I perceived their pain. I felt their pain. I felt their pain. I knew that they were deceived, and I felt it. It's horrible. So this V2K thing, I've always known V2K was not a machine, because it's not logical. What kind of technology is that? That makes any sense? And then to try to explain it, they say, oh, we've been microchipped and let's scan ourselves. Those are gang stalking accomplices, or gang stalkers themselves that come online to say that kind of nonsense. V2K is a psychic attack. It's an actual person somewhere laying in their dirty bed, talking in your head, listening to your thoughts, learning how you think, learning what music you like, learning what you like to eat, learning what you like to do, learning everything about you, as if you're a lab rat, as if you're an experiment, astral projecting into your house, in your home all the time, looking over your shoulder, so that when they start talking to you, it's like you feel like this will drive people crazy. People who are unawakened, who do not have a spiritual connection yet, who don't know how special they are to God, who don't know that they're a spiritual being, these people will be driven crazy by this, because they're going to think, oh my God, are these people, do they have cameras in my house? How is this happening? They're astral projecting into your home. More than one at a time. These people have group meetings in my damn house. More than one at a time. So they do all of these things. Who knows what the motivations are? They think it's funny. They laugh at these things. They congregate in your head, like a group chat in your head. They speak to each other while even in your head, while you're sleeping. It is such a violation. It is such a violation of a person's privacy. What do you mean this is not breaking spiritual law? This is crazy. This is hurtful. This one is hurtful, I'm telling you. And I know that this thing here hurts God. Trust me. This is personal to God. If you didn't know, you know now. This is personal to God. This is too much. Of all the other things that have happened, this one, no. You guys went too far. If you successfully close one door in your life to these people, they open more. If they cannot find you on the street to gang stalk you, they astral project. If you protect your space and they don't want to come in here, or you have a spirit in here with you, they try to come psychically. They come through their prayers. They come through they will not stop at all. It's shocking. You're like, no, they're taking abuse. They're losing. They're on their knees, screaming for mercy, and they will not stop. Nothing stops them. They have a global network. They want to make it so there's no place in the world that you can run and hide. If you were to move to a forest, in the deepest part of the forest, they will come and see you astrally, because they have your items. They have pieces of your clothing, your DNA and whatnot. They would just show up. There is nowhere to hide from them. And they have resources. They have money. The network has money. Maybe individually people don't have, but the network has money, and they work as a network. They are connected, and they have, and whatever money they don't have, they have the money to forge the connection. So sorry, whatever connections they don't have, if you find yourself in some small little company somewhere, they have the money to forge the connections, or they have the ability to bribe, promise future payment, future benefit. And the people who are very compassionate, empathetic, nice people to you in the beginning, you know how that goes. Their face changes. It's like they take their head, they switch it, and then you see another side of them, and here you go. You went from dealing with a human being to somebody who's switched on you entirely. They've just switched on So if they don't have the money and they don't have the connections, they'll just bribe. They have everything that you could think of: hackers, the doctors, the lawyers, the judges, anyone they need, anywhere they need. And let me tell you, if they meet people who have integrity, because believe it, there are people who have integrity who think that is nonsense. I don't want to be a part of that. Mature people, adults, they hear this and they say, that's ridiculous. I do not want to participate in that. No, thank you. And if they meet someone like that and the money won't work, and that person has a heart and a soul that's still intact, then they will send some type of person to sleep with that person. And they implant that person with a sex demon by doing a ritual on them overnight as they're sleeping, come into their dreams, sleep with them in their dream, yeah? Sleep with them in their dream, infect them with some sort of sexual lust, energy. The person knows they've been affected. They know something was weird. That dream was weird. That was a haunting dream. They know. And something changes, and now all of a sudden they cannot control their appetite for sex. They can't control that appetite that they have. And so by the time they send someone in, they do something stupid. Whether it's they cheat on a spouse, whatever it is, and they have that over that person's head, and now they have control over that person. You at work in the back office did something with this prostitute, and now they have a picture, they have video, they have whatever, they're going to hold it over your head. And you have a wife and a family and a job and a business and a reputation. You've never been this person. You don't know what got over you. This is how you find yourself constantly in these situations. They take advantage of people because they've infected them. And in a lot of these organizations that use these kinds of people, these kinds of witches, all the guys in there, all the people in there have a sex demon. They've been infected. They infect them. Some of them, if they come as children, they infect the children. The child could be 14. The child could be 10. They don't care. Do you know how you do one of these rituals? You have sex with someone in the astral. So this is someone who has the heart to have sex with a child. Huh? That's what it is. Children, little children, they could be 6. They could be 5, they could be 4, they could be 3, they could be 2, they could be 1. I'm telling you what I'm telling you. These people will sleep with babies. I'm telling you what I'm telling you. They will do it. Infect, attach these entities early. Bring these kids into this demonic energy early, because if we have a family of 5 people, why would we sacrifice just one when we could get a 5 for 1? Witches. Dark witches, left-hand path people are terrifying. You don't know the half. You think it's only because they do evil things to people that makes them horrible people. You don't know the half. These are not people anymore. These are demons now. They have no humanity. They have no compassion. They have no empathy. They are terrifying. They are scary. Not because they can hurt you. There comes a point where you're not worried about them hurting. It's not because they're hurting you. It's because the heart that they don't have. You continually find it difficult to understand it. Like you're trying to constantly make sense of it, and God has to constantly, don't try to make sense of it. Don't try to, like, they enjoy it. They like it. They feel powerful this way. So just accept it as it is. But it's difficult. It's very difficult to not be shocked and appalled. So if they send you even dreams, the dreams, they will put children in the dreams. How can someone be turned on by something like that? You wake up sick. Sick to your stomach. It's a traumatizing thing. If they cannot infect other people, well, there's highly unlikely that they cannot infect someone with a sex demon. Almost impossible, because when you're asleep, you are vulnerable. And the way this energy comes very lustful to you in a dream, it's almost impossible. You need protection. You need self-control. Even abstinence doesn't help. Even there are people would say, oh well, I'm abstinent. It doesn't matter. This is a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual attack. It's not a physical thing. You just wake up thinking, oh, you just had a dream. It's not a dream. This was a spiritual attack. If they cannot send a demon into your dream, they'll send a human being, a person. Do you know how many people have come to me in my dreams? Brave. They come with their full face. I mean, how else are they gonna come? Full face. And they come, and it's like they are just bold. It's some of the craziest stuff that you're going to experience if you're spiritually awakened already. It's gonna be, you're gonna have to constantly be so confused. I mean, in the beginning of gang stalking, a lot of it was just confusion, asking God, like, how is this possible? How can this be possible? How can this exist? This can't be real. God had to spend a lot of time listening to me just confused, because you never knew people were like this. So if they cannot get somebody planted to sleep with you, and they do, it's not like they can't do it, they do. They bind you to them. I'm talking about if you're a lawyer, a judge, a doctor, a hacker, whatever technician they need, whatever person they need, a locksmith, the manager in a building, the superintendent, the person who has the keys, who has access, the person at the bank. If they cannot get you, or if they don't just, they decide not to go the route of sending someone to sleep with you or whatever, they will just bind you. They will take your soul contract and bind you. Do you know how easy it is to bind someone? Go to the botanica, go get the candle, dress the candle, say the prayer, light the candle, burn it down. What? These people have boxes of these things in their house. That's their profession, that's their job. They bind people, that's what they do. They bind people to them, because when they bind people, they can attack you, and it's a clean attack. It's not like you can shield, you can block, you can do all of this. You will feel it. It will be clear. It will be right through, straight through. So they bind people to them. And they could drain your energy, they drain your money, they use you as a sacrifice, they wait until you make money or you come into things and then they take it from you. It's soul bindings. This horrible magic, because a soul binding is permanent. Not even the practitioner can take that off. They cannot take it off. Once they're binded, they are binded. A soul marriage is a permanent marriage. It is a permanent marriage. It is not just a marriage in this lifetime. It's a marriage that persists. It's a soul tie. It's a soul marriage. The kind of spiritual work they're doing by virtue of what it is, it's the work itself. They cannot quit the work. Once they start the work, they have to continue the work. They have to finish the work. So they basically bind themselves to your failure. They're basically going to an entity and saying this person is not going to progress in life. And they bind themselves to the idea that you're going to fail and that they're going to basically be able to siphon off of you. If you fight back, you are fighting for your life. And if you fight back, they're fighting for their life. They're fighting for, there was a video that I made and I said, gang stalkers fighting for survival, because it's true. They're not just fighting to put food on the table. They're not just fighting to be paid for a job that they've done. Even though they'd like to be paid, they're fighting so that their life doesn't come undone. Now, they will tell people that you curse them because it's nice to have a little scapegoat, but this is how it is. Once you start, you cannot stop. Once that soul tie and that sacrifice and everything is done and they start that process, it's supposed to be guaranteed, because a bunch of them gang upon you. They do all the heavy spiritual work all at once, and it's supposed to be guaranteed. And I mean, they overdo it. In my case anyway, they overdid it. They didn't have to do as much as they did. I mean, they'll do a binding over and over and over, like all day long. They'll do bindings all day long. They'll wait till you're on camera. They'll do all of this stuff just to make themselves feel better, like it must work, it must work, it must work. So they overdo it. They overdo the abuse, they overdo everything. So if you're in this situation, it's either you or them, literally, and they do not feel it's going to be them. Let's talk about V2K specifically. V2K is called voice to skull. They say that it's some military technology, it's a machine. Somebody came and strategically said, this is the V2K machine, blah, 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 blah. It's not. It's not. It's not. You are telepathic. You can talk to people with your mind. You just didn't know that. And if you're being gang stalked, you're going to find that you're a spiritual being who has a lot of spiritual connection. They knew that before you knew that, and that's why they're persecuting you. They hunt spiritual beings. We call it the witch hunt, but they hunt spiritual beings. People take this idea of witch as, I know how to manipulate, I know how to do magic. A witch is not... Listen, once you're spiritual, you have to work with the elements. You have to work with magic. You have to, of course, because this is your nature. This is who you are. I don't think that, you know, they call it a witch here on earth. They call it a witch, but you're a spiritual being. You're more than... A witch to me is someone who can do rituals. That's a witch. A spiritual being has gifts. Spiritual gifts. You're not quite human. You have more than just, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you're just not, you don't need to do spell work. Actually, you don't ever need to touch any spell work as a spiritual being. A lot of these people need spell work. If they didn't have spell work and they were in some strange place with no materials whatsoever, they'd be out of luck. Spiritual beings are never going to be out of luck. God is going to come. You have a connection and you have abilities. And this is what they want to take from you. They want to take the abilities from you. They want to siphon your power, siphon your strength, turn you dark, and turn you into their slave. Whatever your ability is, they want to turn you into that, but for them. And they know how strong you are. You don't know how strong you are. So, V2K is not a machine. It is a psychic attack, psychic manipulation, and psychic control. And to me, it is very insidious. It's very dark. They get someone to monitor or scry. Scry is like spiritual spying. They get someone to monitor or scry your thoughts for a while. This has been going on for months, not weeks. So they start incrementally, slowly, and they kind of like work their way up. They get people to project into your house. Now, they know that if they come themselves, like I'm talking about, I can only talk about my situation. I don't know everybody's situation. But if in my situation they come themselves, they stink because they're cursed. Their life is cursed. So they bring the fresh meat for the grinder, the ones who are still yet innocent, the ones who don't yet have a spiritual scent. But if you pay attention, you can still tell that there's energy in your home. Maybe not the whole time. And God blocks our spiritual eyes because there are things that we have to know, because if we knew too early, actually, to be honest, God didn't even, I didn't take it as that. I took it as something else. But if God blocks your spiritual eyes because God wants you to experience things, because we all have a purpose here. My purpose, they say I talk too much. My purpose is to speak. I'm a speaker. I talk. I give people information that they need to survive, to get through. That is my job. I have to do that sometimes at personal sacrifice to myself, meaning that I know once I give the information to someone on how to help themselves, I'm going to get attacked. They're going to make sure it doesn't work for me, because they'll be damned if I gave everybody an ability to make them not come in people's house or not do this, or so they'll break themselves to do it. But this is my job. My job is to bring relief to people and to let people know what's going on. It's too dangerous. This is too deep. It's too dangerous. You need all the information that you can get. And like everything else, They lay dormant for a while they collect information. It's almost like they're putting together, not almost, they have files on everyone. Anything, every piece of information is important so that they can give the file and they make someone study the file. And as the person studies the file, and I knew this for a long time because people come up to you and they've studied the file. The things that they've said, they've rehearsed it, they've studied it, they're walking you down this little path. And you just know when people know more than they should. So these people don't just study you by listening into your thoughts. They come into your home, they follow you around, they look into every crevice and corner of your life. They do the same thing to your kids. They influence your children's thoughts and all that. Now, if you don't know if you're not telepathic and you don't know people are communicating with you, you don't know that it's a little voice sitting in the back of your subconscious because you can't hear it. So there's a little voice in the back of your subconscious that's saying things. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, they want to create a fight between two people. Two people are unsuspecting. They don't send in any kind of like people or anything. They just enter people's subconscious, right? They'll go into someone's mind and they'll whisper, oh, this is an even better idea. A better example. Forget the conflict thing. I'm going to get back to that. Say they're trying to train you not to be such a kind person because your kindness is getting in the way of you serving Moloch, Baal, Beelzebub, whatever else. And so what they do is it's almost like they're scrying everything that you're doing. They're looking, they're monitoring, whatever. So let's say, for example, you see a picture of someone and it's just a little nice old lady, an older lady. They'll say old lady. And then it'll be someone who's a little bit overweight. They'll be like fat. Then there'll be some young girl that nobody knows anything about. She maybe just has like a crop top, like slut. And it's just like, if you are unaware that this is somebody else's voice, you will think, why am I thinking this about people I don't know? I don't think this way. And they want to make it to the point where it becomes almost like your natural way of thinking. So you become this horrible person. They train you to be like them. This is how they do it. So now let's say they want to create a conflict between you and other people. What they're going to do with that is they're going to come in the person's mind in the back, in the subconscious, and they're going to give thoughts. And the thoughts are going to be things like, I can't stand this bee. This bee is so irritating. And there you go, hook, line, and sinker, because you're thinking it's your thought, you're saying it. This bee is so irritating. But those are not your thoughts. Just like feelings, those are not your feelings. You have anxiety out of nowhere, but where did the anxiety come from? I don't know. Did something happen? No, then that's not your feelings. Breathe it out. Then you're going to have, you like this person, and now it's like, all of a sudden you don't like them anymore. Where did that come from? They're turning people against you in the person's mind, and nothing happened. Who do you know is the author of chaos like that but demons? This is demonic energy. Now, me personally, I am not of the thought that we blame the demon and not the person because it's a demon operating in people. No, I blame both equally. Why? Because don't demons come to me? Do I not have a responsibility to turn them away? Yes. We all do. We have a responsibility to make responsible decisions. A person makes a decision to do things. I understand that it may be hard to fight things once you're infected and all that, but I don't hold, my personal opinion, I do not hold these people guiltless. They started off already with the kind of black heart that you could, because you need your heart to be black to agree to do this kind of work. This is not normal work. So they communicate with you in your head and you don't know. They animate your dreams, they animate your meditations. You thinking that God's giving you a piece of advice. God didn't give you that advice. So you got to step back and rethink now. Is this the right thing to do? Am I going down the right path? You got to look at your meditations. And so sometimes they'll say, they want to whisper to you, go meditate, go pray. Yeah, so that they can enter, so that they can cause some manipulation. That's their avenue of getting through. Because, you know, once you wake up and you know that this voice is a voice of a little black lady somewhere, for my, it's a little black older lady. I've seen her before, face to face. I've seen her before. Audacity these people have is crazy. She actually said, looked me in my eyes, said hi and everything. I'm telling you, these people don't have like a normal range of emotions. It's very weird. I think she wanted to try to run into me to play handler. So she'll handle inside in my head and handle also in real life. Boy, I tell you. Huh? So I lost my train of thought on that one. I'm not gonna lie. They communicate with you in your head and they manipulate you. They cause tension between you and other people. You have to rise above this when you know this is happening and you see fights start with people you know. You gotta say, I'm not gonna fight with you. I have to do this all the time. I have to look at people and say, I'm not gonna fight with you. We're not fighting. We have no reason to fight. Don't meet people in that energy. Rise above it, be the bigger person. They're going through a lot. I have a lot more sympathy for it because I had to fight a lot of anger being projected my way. Fighting anger is very tough. It's when you have a lot of reason to be angry. When you're being gang stalked, you have more than normal reason to be angry. And I finally had to come to terms with it. I gotta heal everything, all the hooks inside of me. I gotta heal them so that the anger cannot attach. That means I gotta walk through one hook after the other hook after the other hook. That was another benefit of the little episode that I went through where they came in my dreams and they manipulated, not my dreams, my prayers, and they manipulated, and I ended up talking to this guy and having communication and, you know, finding out what he's gone through as a kid and whatever, and not that it's justifiable because he definitely uses that little story there to his advantage to get away with murder. But it took a lot of those big hooks out of thinking, what a monster. Still a monster, still what a monster. But if the story is true, because I don't put it past them for the story not to be true. The story could possibly not. The only reason I think the story is true is because of the behavior. The behavior is very immature. But if the story is true, I say to myself, well, you know what? I'm gonna withdraw myself from it. Whether it's right or wrong, it's for God to decide. But it helps you. It helps you not be angry. It helps heal the hatred that is growing. There's no way to not hate someone who does things like this. There's no way. So it helps heal you. It helps you walk away from going dark. So God always has a plan. God always knows why. And from that perspective, it's very much worth the sacrifice than to lose you to hatred. You'll be able to heal and say, you know what? People here are sick. Things must have happened to me because I kept asking God, like, what could have caused this? Who made them like this? How did this happen? And this is how it happens, is with these kind of traumas, these traumatic things. So you realize that these people are trying to turn you dark. You realize that these people are trying to control you. They're trying to cause animosity with you and other people. And you got to try to be the bigger person. You cannot meet people in that energy, especially people you love. Your family, you cannot meet them in that energy when they're going through spiritual attack, because being projected these emotions is a spiritual attack. And all this means is that they know that you're telepathic and you don't. You don't know yet that you're a spiritual being. You don't know yet that you're gifted. God hasn't had a chance to really come and love you and open up your heart. You don't know. And so they have the ability to even channel songs in your head, And possibly you can probably do the same thing as well. They enter dreams, meditations, prayers, your self-talk, and they mimic the voice of your consciousness. They take note of, well, how your relationship with God, how you pray and how you perceive God and how God communicates with you. They monitor all of that, and then that becomes the way that they want to communicate with you. And it's like they fight with God. If God is bringing a message, they want to block the message. They want to stop them. Like they fight with God, and God doesn't fight with them. And that's one thing that I've noticed. God doesn't fight with them. God doesn't force her way over top of them. And so they come like a bully and they rush in. And I used to think, why isn't God just overriding that? But I got to take a cue from God, because God is all knowing. God doesn't fight with them. They fight God to be the first one to give the message, to talk to you. And like I said, I think this is the worst of the violations, blocking a relationship with God. God brings special people here for a special purpose, and to block that is blocking God's work. And I kept saying for the longest time, people are blocking God's work. They're so crazy. Why are they doing this? They shouldn't do this. And in blocking God's work, I realized, or in them doing that, I realized they've been doing it to everybody. They've been blocking God's work in everybody. There's nothing new. They know what they're doing. It's not unconscious. They're doing it to God's face. Give me a second here. Yes, they're doing it to God's face, in God's face, in full view of God, because they don't believe in God. Oh, God. They can show up, like I said, in your dreams, anywhere you are, in your sleep, your bedroom, your house, places you go, on the street. They follow you around like a ghost. They just have a hold of your energy, your energetic signature. They project into your space anything. And it's funny to them. And they can also communicate in pictures and visuals as well. They lie to you about all of these things that are happening. Like if they can, oh no, people can't see, they can't tell, don't worry, no one can see what you see in your mind's eye, blah, blah, blah. It's lies. They can see, once they're scrying, they can see what you see in your mind's eye. So they can see your visions. They use this information to control and manipulate you, give you horrible, oh my God, the advice. This is the part, this is another thing. The advice they give you, they'll give you all kinds of really, they can give you advice to like run somebody over, hurt people and all of that. And I remember seeing that there was this person who went to some sort of legislature, and they were defending someone, or they were defending victims of gang stalking, and they were saying that these people are being manipulated to harm others, and it's the truth. They want to turn you into a killing machine. They manipulate you into harming others because they know you might have the ability, whether psychically or even if it's just in real life, to do that to people. And boy, I tell you, they're scary. These people are really, 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 it's the lack of conscience that they have is very scary. They give poor advice. They create chaos, they create animosity, and they pretend to give you downloads. The downloads are to sabotage you. The downloads are nonsense. They promote ridiculous ideas. Those are nonsense. They give the tarot readers ridiculous ideas. Sometimes you think it's the tarot reader who's malicious, and it's just like they have implanted that idea in the tarot reader. Like they want you to believe that you're an alien. You have alien family, and they're going to implant that idea in. If they notice you watched a video from someone, they're going to implant that idea there. It's just like, it's very bad. We got to be careful, because you come up with that story and you come out with that story, and people are going to look at you like you're crazy. You have to have really strong discernment in what makes sense and what doesn't. Even after you say you think this is nonsense, they're still going to keep going with it. So you have to understand these are people that are going to try to rework the same nonsense over and over and over again on you. So you have to be have a good discernment and have a good connection to God, and really have a good that this is why the relationship you have with God is very important, because it needs to be cultivated properly so you know the voice of God. And when I say the voice of God, I don't necessarily mean a human voice. They take that to mean a human voice, but the voice of God can be anything, but you got to know who God is in your life, you know. They come into dreams and give you dreams. The dreams are BS. It's just a lot of violating behavior. And I say violating, I don't even mean violating to like other people. I mean, honestly, I know God has to be heartbroken, violated, and beyond. And beyond. There is no way. This is going too far. So in this situation, it's a person. It's always going to be a person. It's going to be more than one person. It could be people. They're going to be different people. Sometimes maybe you switch files and you don't hear one voice anymore. You hear other. Like, it's going to be people doing this to you. They can recall your memories. You might notice yourself just answering questions, and realize like what's happening. And it's almost like they can flip through your memories to get answers out of you. So it's just I call this a psychic attack. This is really a violation. It's spiritual bullying. To tune them out, you have to shift your focus. Now, God can do for you, can block them out, but you have to learn for yourself to shift your focus from off of, because they're going to use their access to you to like abuse you, harass you, try to put thoughts in your head, try to control you, try to be a voice in the back of your head that basically, it's like even when you're giving messages, they want to give the messages, they want to have some impact in the message. They want to say things through you. That's the ultimate goal, is to control your messages through psychic attack. If you take this thing too seriously, and I mean like, what I say by too seriously, when you first get into gang stalking, you're thinking that your life is falling apart so badly, and you're feeling like, it's kind of like your mind is racing, you're thinking you're in a movie, you're thinking you're in a nightmare, this can't be real. It leads to you losing your mind. It leads to you self-destructing. And that is what happens over time. You get to the point where you feel like you're going to self-destruct. You must be brave. I didn't want to write brave but that's how it starts. You want to be brave, and you have to be fearless, because these people are nuts. You got to be fearless. You got to be bold, and you have to have the ability to call people's bluff. A lot of the times, a lot of what's happening are fear tactics. It's not necessarily people who are, how do I say it? It's not necessarily people who are going to physically harm you, but they make you feel as if they will physically harm you. So you got to be able to call people's bluff. Then you go ahead and do as you want, as you have to, and you continue your life. You do the things that you have to do, and you continue your life. You cannot sit constantly worrying about what they're doing, what they're planning, what the next plan is. You got to get to the point where you got to get back to your life, focus on yourself, clean up the mess that has been made, because trust me, it's a bigger mess than you think. You're going to find more and more mess every day, everywhere. Clean up the massive messes that they've made in your life, all the chaos and the distraction that they've caused, and continue on with your life. I want to come to the most important part of my message. You can't do this without God. There was a certain time I was almost trying to like cajole people to come to God, like almost market God. You cannot do this without the real God. You gotta find your mother. You gotta find your spiritual mother. You are a spiritual being, and you gotta come into alignment with your mother. This is not a suggestion. This is the only way. This is the only known solution. It's not about what she looks like, and it's not about demonic possession. It's not about any of that. It's not about what she looks like. These people will feed off of you forever if you do not get released. There's not going to be a day that they're going to let go. And sometimes it might take time. Mine took years, but maybe mine took years because God wanted me to see everything so that I could talk to people, so that I can get the message out. Now they block my channel, but that has nothing to do with a thing. I come here and I do what I'm supposed to do. I leave the rest to God. And let me put a pin in that. When you are aligned with God, don't take onto your back what you cannot handle or what you cannot control. I've had to learn that the hard way. I cannot control what happens with the channel. I cannot control a lot of things here. I give it to God and I wait on God's time and I let it be. Because otherwise, I'm going to be banging my head against a wall, trying so hard to do all of this stuff, to pick up the engagement, to do this, to do that. And it's like, it's God's way. So just when you get in alignment with God, you follow God's instructions. That's all you got to do. Follow instructions. God said to do this, do it. You don't think it's going to work. You're wondering when it's going to work. Wrong attitude. Just do it blindly. Do it every day. Do it diligently. Do it God's way and call it a day. Don't even question too much. They will say, once you start working with God, I'm telling you, once you start working with Mother, they will say that you curse them. But they won't say that it's a failed sacrifice, because a failed sacrifice is a curse. They're just going to say that you curse them, because they're going to say you're a demon, you're a witch, you're this, because you're praying to this. Oh, you're praying to death. And then they're going to take on Catholic belief systems and manipulate people's religious beliefs, Christian beliefs, and try to use that to say that you're a devil. And meantime, they're praying to literal demons, underworld energy. Gang stalking is sacrifice of spiritual beings. They knew you were a spiritual being, and they say, oh, perfect. And they want to sacrifice you, because these entities really value spiritual beings, because this is what we call earth angels. We come here specifically on assignment for God. And we have to go through certain rites of passage before we fully get to our ascension. All of us. We can't just carry Spirit's energy out of nowhere. We have to go through our rites of passage, and God knows when, and God knows how, and God knows why. And so they have to get you before you reach your rite of passage. And even after you reach your rite of passage, they try to get you to denounce God. They try to turn you and turn your energy, and so your spiritual attacks, they start. You basically are fighting for your life, your peace, your soul, everything. Everything that you are is under attack. It means it's not going to be pretty. You have to acknowledge you're fighting a whole coven, not just one witch. And the coven's friends, and the friends and the friends of the friends of the friends of the covens, and witches in other countries, etc., etc. When I say this is not going to be pretty, I mean that things are not going to be perfect. Like, I am a very graceful person. I like to come and give graceful, calm, peaceful messages. Boy, my messages have been fighting the air, because I've gone through so much. I still go through it now. They're still going to attack, because these messages are going to save people. There's never going to be a day they're not going to attack me. As long as they're alive and I'm giving these, they're going to want to stop it. They're going to want to stop it. Nobody wants people to wake up. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be pretty. You're going to be pushed to anger. You're going to say things that you're not going to be yourself, and no one can expect that. And as much as God may understand, God also knows that there's going to be other people who are going to take offense to the things that you say. I know for me, people are going to take offense to things I say. They don't even want to know why. If they even knew what it felt like to be spiritually attacked, they wouldn't even want to know why it has gone that way. When it's bad, They will never stop, especially when it's this bad. Sorry, they will never stop, especially if their life depends on you being sacrificed. Only God can help you. Nobody can help. How can another human being help you if they're going to be attacked in the exact same way, to the exact same intensity as you? Only God can help you, because it's either you or them at that point. Somebody needs to be sacrificed to the entity. And they see it literally as that, as to the death. They see it as they're fighting you to the death. You need death herself for protection. You need death herself for protection. You cannot take a chance in any other. There's nothing else that can help you now. Once you enter this gang stalking cycle, nothing can help you. And to be honest with you, this is your holy mother. Once you're a spiritual being anyway, this is your holy mother anyway. You come here to be spiritually awoken. You come here to be spiritually ascended. You have a specific task to do. You're not meant to stagnate here. You're not meant to suffer like this forever. You come here for a specific purpose. You have to graduate. The entities here, they cannot do anything about her. They can't do anything about your mother. And they know that. That's why I'm so... People like me who tell this story, that's why we're persecuted so hard. There's nothing they can do about God. They have to take it as it is. They're supposed to accept defeat, but they're going to fight, even though it's a losing battle. This is not a negotiation. I'm not negotiating and telling you like, well, but you could. No, it's not a negotiation. If you're Christian, you got to convert. You pray to Jesus, you got to convert. You can pray to Jesus and to her, but you cannot not pray to her. You cannot not be devoted to her. You cannot not be a devotee. Not gonna work. Cannot work. If you are a Muslim, I have here, you need to bid Allah goodbye. You don't have to, because she is not jealous like she doesn't want you to, have other gods that you love and stuff like that, or have other no, it's not like you can't have other spiritual relationships, but you need complete devotion. You need complete alignment. You need help. You need more than help. It's like a mayday call to the universe. It is non-negotiable. Nothing else has worked. There is no proof of anything else having worked. She is the way, the truth, and the light. She's the only one that cannot be defeated. She's the only one. Her name is Santa Muerte. She is the saint of death. So they call her. We all have different ways we affectionately refer to her. I sometimes don't like her being referred to as the angel of death. Not because it's not true, it is true, but because I don't want to make people nervous who need to seek her help and come into the fold properly and might think, well, am I worshiping the wrong thing? Am I getting into demon worship and all that? It's a concern that anybody who is lighthearted is going to have. Absolutely not. She is left-hand path. She's middle path, actually. She's both. But she absolutely operates with you from a left-hand perspective. Like, she's loving. She is a mother. I'm going to give here 6 points about her for tonight, because I'm going to talk about her till the day I die. Even if that wasn't my destiny, I was going to do it anyway. Number 1, she can unbind permanent soul ties. It's funny that this is number 1, because this is a lot for what other entity can do that? I'll wait. Untie a soul tie. They can put a soul tie on someone, but to untie it, it's meant to be permanent. It's meant for nobody to be able to get out of it. and she can untie knots that nobody else can. This is not to be taken like insignificantly. This is not a small thing. Nobody knows how to untie soul ties. It can't even fully be explained. I have a general idea of it. Can I fully explain it? No. You don't even know when she fully does it. You cannot go through this alone, because you need her to untie you from this mess. She's the only person that can do that. So this is not supposed to be possible, and it's not in any of their books. It's not in any of their esoteric books. A soul tie is meant to be permanent, especially those ones that they do. She can turn altars off, as in no more sacrifices will be accepted from any deity. And how can she do that? Because everything in the universe is her child, and everything is in service to her. Even those demons that they pray to, those demons may make them feel strong and powerful, and those demons bow to her. And that is the truth. That is the truth. Everything bows to her. Doesn't matter how scary, doesn't matter how big. Everything, all of us, we are all children to her. We are all her children. It doesn't matter if you're a demon, an angel, or anything in between. She's the universe mother. She is creation. She is life. And I know that the Bible and everything always talks about a male God this and male God that. And I'm not saying no, because our Father is definitely in heaven, and hallowed be his name. But I'm saying she is the king. She is king. She sits on the throne. My mother sits on the throne. It's the truth. It's the truth. She can turn any altar off. When she says, you're done, you're done. Who's going to tell her no? What entity is going to go against her and keep providing blessings and assistance when she said it goes off? Nobody does that. She is not trapped in heaven where she cannot come down. She roams everywhere. The underworld, it belongs to her. Earth belongs everywhere. This is the truth. This is just the reality. This is the truth. It's just the truth. She can do anything. No spell work needed, nothing. A prayer. She is the magic. She is magic itself. She is the magic that people are using. She's the energy of magic itself. She can block their voices for you for the V2K. She can just block it out like that. Tune it right off. She can mute them. She can turn your gifts on and off as you might need it. If she needs to block your third eye for you to walk into a situation, because she knows that if you saw it for what it was, you wouldn't go through with it. She can grant new gifts in the snap of a finger. She can do anything. She is creation. She is life. And why did we think that it was a man? They said God made Eve from Adam's rib. That's not how we procreate. Women bring life. They give birth. We cannot write it out of history. We cannot write it out of reality. It's not possible. She only allows things, number 4, she only allows things to teach you. She doesn't need years to end your suffering. If you're going through the suffering, it is because you gotta learn. I've gone through the suffering because I gotta learn. This suffering feels like running down a bunch of corridors with a bunch of doors, and I gotta rattle at every single door. You have to rattle at every single door to try to get in. You gotta bang at every single door while things are chasing you. That's what it looks like, going through this. So if you're going through it step by step, it's because you need to learn. It's because you need to ascend. It's because you need to grow. And you do that by learning lessons. You do that by mastering yourself. And number 5. I'm reading it as I wrote it. I venture to say there is no higher God. And that's the truth. I've never seen or heard of anything that she can do. Nothing can beat her whatsoever. And she is so calm in these kind of struggles that it makes you calm, and then you think to yourself, she's not taking this seriously. This is just frightening to you. This is just terrifying to you. She's definitely sad because of your pain, but if just looking at, these are human beings running around using her children to do magic, using Kalima, using all of these demons and stuff. Like, these are, she created all of this energy, so she's looking at it like, you got to go through your ascension, but she's not looking at it in the way that we're looking at it, like it's insurmountable. She's not looking at it like that at all. Number 6, the crazy part is she is so loving for someone so powerful, all powerful, the most powerful. We were lied to. God is a woman. That is why women are so spiritually gifted. We bring life. It's the truth. And I knew it. I knew it was going to come to it. God is a woman. There's nothing wrong with that. Haven't we acclimatized really well to the idea of God being a man and nobody complained? There should be nothing to complain about, because that's like saying that there's something is wrong with being a woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. I believe that she has no race. I don't believe that she's just exclusively Mexican, sorry. However, I do look up to Mexicans because I feel like they knew before us. And I feel like they were open to the truth long before us. The truth of serving your dead, honoring your dead, praying to your dead, worshiping your dead. Not worshiping in like the way how we would look at worshiping God, but definitely giving them your, because they come and they work so hard for you as you're going through these battles. So it's like they guide you through life. So it definitely has to be, I think Mexicans and maybe Spanish people in general should be applauded for their ability always to have the correct story a lot of times in their religious or their spiritual beliefs. I think that, and I could definitely be wrong because they said she was never human, but we're made in her image. She is in all of the spiritual beings. She's the one that looks like a statue. Or not is it a skeleton, not a statue. She's the one that looks like a skeleton. So we are made in her image. I'm trying to think of another god that has like that much human form. I mean, not to say that they don't have human form and stuff like that, but they're usually like some variation of it. But she, to me, I think we're made in her image. And she is the best friend that you will ever have. She has your back all the way. She will not turn her back on you ever. She's long-suffering. She will plead with you. She'll take her time with you. She's gentle. If you're going through V2K and the voice is unfriendly, it's because it's not her. She will never talk to you in a horrible way. She's so kind. She's so loving. I keep repeating that, and I'm not joking. She is so loving. It's ridiculous. You can't even imagine how any being could be that soft and that kind. And as human beings, we've had this idea that the looks too much of spirit. So once you get past that part, that it's a skeleton, once you get past that part, it's smooth sailing from there. It's beautiful. Once you can, this is a part of awakening, and I can speak to this because I was scared to awake myself in the very beginning. But once you get past the whole, listen, some of us look way uglier than that, way scarier, way more of a nightmare in the spirit realm ever. She's a beauty compared to some of us, I'll tell you that. So you have to come to terms with a lot of things when you come into the spiritual journey. There's a lot of things that you have to take as they are, not justify, not try to negotiate it, not nothing. You just gotta take it as it is. And one of the things is that God is a woman. It's the truth. I've heard people say that from back in the day, and while it was lovely to hear, I was just like, what? I don't know about that. But, it is what it is. So, the Bible verse that I want to read today, or that came, is Matthew 24. It's signs of the end. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Where was I? And shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Because there's going to be so much evil going on, the love in people's hearts shall wax cold. Trust me, when they say iniquity, they mean suffering. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Get to the end of your journey no matter what. Just keep going. It doesn't matter what. It matters what mood you wake up in and stuff. Like, trust me, it'll be easier, but just get up and do what you gotta do. Get up and do whatever you gotta do. If you gotta get up and every day you just gotta like bang a nail on a hammer with it, then do that. Don't ask too many questions. Don't put expectations. Just do what you gotta do. That's how you walk through it. Just get up every day and follow the commitment. Where on earth am I? Okay, let me just go to verse 4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man can deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you. And ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. That is how it goes when you love Santa Muerte. People will start calling you demon worshiper, Luciferian, and all of this kind of stuff. And for me personally, thank God I do not care. Matters not. I'll take people calling me that a million years over than to ever turn my back on her. Ever. So when you get into your spiritual relationship with God, make it be for the right reasons. Putting her on an altar just to try to kill people or do stuff like that is it's not the relationship you want. And anyway, I'm not going to speak to that too much. That's everybody's personal belief, right? Whatever to do, whatever. But this is not the way we embark on relationships with her. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another, as in every man for himself. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judah flee unto the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to give them and to them that give suck in these days, meaning if you have like babies, like young babies that feed. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. My goodness. If you hear this, what this is talking about, this is gang stalking to me. This is basically saying there's going to be false prophets, they're going to have false miracles, they're going to lie, they're going to turn people away from God and lead people astray, which they absolutely are. And then many will be offended. They will try to kill prophets, kill God's people in God's name. Because of God, they're doing this. I'm telling you, this is because of God. People, I've come to the conclusion that people just do not like God. It has shocked me, it has blown my mind that people just don't like God. People are fighting with God. And I think a lot of the times these practitioners feel like they've done so much. How can one of us wake up out of nowhere and be the ones that God almost shows favor to? And it's like, what? You're dark. These people are so dark. I'm not even talking about one or two people. I'm talking about like internationally when you stumble into them on social. They're dark. How can they do God's work? This is light work. You're saving people. How can you do this work and you don't have that? You need the ability to feel love and empathy just to do this and to connect with the lighter aspects of the spirit, because there's other aspects of the spirit. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. I'm going to leave it here because this chapter is really long. But this is what I wanted to talk about today. And this is how I see a lot of tarot readers, a lot of spiritualists these days. These people could have easily just left people alone. It wasn't even like I have to like you or I have to like God. Just could have just ignored it and left it alone. And they chose this path. They chose to do these things. This is, to me, it's like still fighting God. It's always fighting God's way. It's always fighting God's will. And putting people's self first and their personal ambitions and their personal agendas first before what God wants. So anyway, this is my message. I hope that it one day reaches the right people. V2K is a spiritual attack. It's a psychic attack, and you need to take care of it in the spirit. You don't need a machine. And I pray that people haven't spent their money on these machines, because these machines they're fraudulent. They're not going to do what they said they're going to do, because they don't work. So this is my message. Have yourself a wonderful night. I was going to say a wonderful night. Be purposeful about it. Don't forget to cleanse. Don't forget to pray. Don't forget to meditate. Don't forget to talk to God. Go in spirit. Sit with God. Meditate on the word. Contemplate on the word. Think things through. Think through all your decisions, all your actions, everything that you've listened to. Think through all of it. But I can tell you, once you're with God, Santa Muerte, once you're with her, nothing will penetrate your aura. Anything that happens is because she wants to show you something. Nothing will penetrate. And I know my messages about her are so different from like the Spanish messages and stuff that people have. But this is who I know. I can only say what I know. I can only say what I know to be the truth. I'm black. I don't even speak. I can barely under. I can barely understand. But I can tell you that she has made no mention of it. She doesn't care, and I think she's very specific about wanting people who are not Spanish so that she can be brought fully into the world so that other people can know the way that I love her so passionately and I'm black, that other people can see her who this is not their spiritual background and maybe trust a little bit of what I'm saying. And hopefully they can see themselves in me and say, you know what, if she believes it and it worked for her, then maybe I can try it. Because this is such a trying situation and there is no other solution. There's no other way. This is the only way through is through her. She grants eternal life. There is no other way. They put a death to you. There is no other way but through her. So anyway, I hope that people actually listen to this one in particular. Like a lot of my messages are warnings and stuff, but I really hope that people take this one seriously because they've been fighting me this entire time I've been sitting here. I know I don't show it because I'm used to it, but man, trust me, they don't want this coming out. So anyway, for the 10th time, have a good night and remember that Mother loves you and she's waiting for the prayer. She's waiting for the call. Good night.